Okay. Um, so the Kali has announced the Kali 2020.2 release. It has released the 2020.2 version. So the previous version was 2020.1b, and in this version they have changed some of the graphics like KDE Plasma. They had makeover, and some of the login, some of the window they have changed. They have also made it by default of the PowerShell kind of. So you have to install via this command. And the another thing which they have changed is Kali on ARM improvements. So there was some issues and bugs with the ARM, so they have solved it too. The lessons for the installation changes will which I will be showing you in this stream, and the new key packages and the icons which you can see here in the images below, and behind the scene infrastructure improvement which they are not describing it fully. So now let's install it. So to install Kali, I'm going to show the installation of Kali in the VMware Workstation Pro. You can use this installation method to install in VMware Player, which is non-commercial and free. And if you wanted to use it in VirtualBox, then the steps are pretty much same. And if you are using VirtualBox, you know how to do it. So I clicked on torrent and I've downloaded the file via peer-to-peer connection with torrent. So I have the file of ISO image of Kali, because it was uploaded first and then it was announced. So when it was uploaded, I downloaded it at the same time, one day before of announcement. So yesterday it was announced. Now to get install Kali in VM, just first of all open up your VMware. After that, click on create new virtual machine. I like to go for customs, so I will go for customs. Next, as per I know, the offensive security is using the 8x. So if you are in the workstation using the 8, then don't worry with that version also. You can choose any of the versions till 8. So I'm using here 15, so no issue with the plus versions. After that, click on the second option, that is installation disk, installer disk. Go for browse and browse where the Kali ISO is located in your PC. Click on that and go for next. Once you are clicked on the next, it will ask what type of guest operating system are you willing to install in virtual machine. So I am willing to install Linux with Debian. It's a Debian distribution. So whatever the version of Debian distribution you are gonna click here should be 64 if you are installing the 64. As you can see here, I am installing the Kali Linux 64-bit because I am gonna give it more than 4 GB, and if you are gonna give it 4 GB or less than 4 GB, go for 32-bit. But for being in a safer side, I always recommend to go for like 64-bit operating system. So I will go for Debian. Don't worry if it is showing in your VMware till 8 or 9. In my it is 10, and I'm installing the 64. That's why I'm clicking on 64. If not, then if you are installing 32-bit, then click on this one. I'm gonna click on 64-bit, Debian 10 64-bit. Click on next and give it a name, Kali 2020. That simple. Render. And the number of processor, if you are using some sort of like Xeon servers which basically have 2 or more processor unit in their motherboard. So you have to select here. As I know, the offensive security has when they configure it, they are using two of the processor, and here also they use the two, but I have the one processor, and I'm going to give it 4, or I can give it 8 of the processing units per processor. Next, I can give it 16 GB, but now I will give it 4. After that, I will move on to 16. As per now, don't use any sort of internet connection, because if you use internet connections, the Kali will update itself while the installation, and I don't really recommend of update while installation, because it might break your installation at some point, not every time, but at some point it will break it. So don't use the internet connection. I will let you know that how to get in the internet connection later. So first of all, do not use a network connection for right now. Click next. Next, create a new virtual disk. After that, change the disk size. The disk size, what I recommend is to go for 60. As Kali, go for 40 or 60, but I recommend 80. 80 is the best. So as it is a pen tester machine, I don't think you need more than 80. It is as per me. Now finish it and power on this virtual machine, and you hear that beep sound. Go for the graphic installation. It will be much easier. And it's here. Click your language, continue, select your country. As I am in India right now, continue. Your keyboard layout, mine is American English, so I will continue with that. It's loading up the additional components. It will gonna detect the network hardware, but as you remember that we have just now only clicked on do not use any internet devices, so we will continue with that, and it says no network interface detected. Continue. Name the host name. It is basically your virtual machine name, so I will keep it as a default Kali, or you can change it as I would like to name it, like 80 so yeah, that sort of names. You can name it Kali. Let me name it by default only Kali. Continue. Now Kali has made some changes with that previous version also, in which you have to make a non-administrative user, or in terms of root, a non-super user or non-root user. What that basically means, you have to create one more user other than root, which will be not as super powerful and not will having all the permission as root have. So that will help to the beginners who are just doing some sort of works, but by mistakenly the machine will not gonna destroy. So it will help in most of the cases, but I think personally in the case of root scenario you will learn a lot, because when I started Kali, I started in root only. I not created the any sort of accounts and then I was using, because this doesn't restrict you anywhere and you continue go on for learning. You are not then in for sudo bin bash and then typing in your password or su root. So let's give it the name of the new user, full name of the new user, and the username for that user. Then hit enter. Now here is the password. So you have to write the password for your new user, not for the root user, the new user. There is a twist in that in this installation, and I will let you know what that twist is after the installation has been done, because we had not set up the root user password, and that's the twist what I'm gonna solve it after the installation. So continue, and that's the reason I am doing the stream, so you can see it live. So it is setting up the partition days, and now it's the time for the selection. And this is the part where I says that go for guide use entire disk. So I will always recommend you to go for the entire disk. Don't go for encryption or all if you are a beginner, but if you are in an IT environment where your administrator says you to like go for the encryption, then you have to go, or you are having some sort of policies, then go for manual and do as per that policies for now. And for the beginners and who don't have any sort of policies, go for the entire disk and continue. Here all files in one partition, recommended for new users. So for beginners, go for it, it is the best. I do it today also. But if you want to separate the home partition and you want to separate like home, var and temp partitions, you can do it too, but keep it in different partitions, make it a bit tough. And in Kali, I like mostly in doing all in one things. So the first option is best suitable for me and I don't have any sort of problem with that. But in case of other distributions, you will find that home, var and temps it is in the different locations in different partitions. So for now, go for all in one and finish it. It will ask you whether you want to save the changes or not. Go for yes and continue. And it is installing the base system. Let me see the stream quality, how it is going on. So the health is going on good. Okay. Let it go. And it is finished while installing the base system. Configuring the APT, here the error will come. Now the HTTP proxy, if you are having any sort of proxy in your network environment, then you can enter it here. If you are in a business environment, the system admin will tell you at what HTTP proxy you have to enter and whether you should be entered or not in this PC. So keeping that in mind, if you have, then write it here, and if you don't want, don't write it, just continue. And here is the error, bad archive mirror. Then continue with that. You also continue, and here is your country. Mine is India. Go for India. Then here click any of the mirror and continue with that. Then again continue and you will find this again. So go back and click on yes, continue without a mirror, network mirror. then continue, and it will gonna install the softwares, the basic some softwares. And now here is the main part. This first one, second, third, fourth, and fifth, this all are the this all five are the like desktop environment. You can use any of them, but I prefer you going for the XFCE because it is coming default from the offensive security, and that's good for you because going with genome, I found some of the problems and there were bugs, many of them in the Kali genome environment. So I basically like to be less if I get less graphics but more of the performance, I go for the performance and stability because Kali is for pen testing, not for the graphic use. So I go for the XFCE. I was also the fan of Genome and other all environments, mostly of Genome, but due to some of its bugs, the reliability of Genome is not as good as XFCE in Kali Linux. So better go for XFCE and make it default. If you want any of the other which are unchecked and you want to check them and then continue, you need the internet connection. So in sort of where we have clicked on do not use any network connection, that you have to use any sort of network connection like host, NAT, or the bridge environment. Don't go for host, go for NAT or bridge. This both will be good for you while installation. So I'm keeping it default and continuing with that. It is retrieving file from the ASO image and it will install it. The installation will totally depend on your PC config, the hardware which you are using or the server which you are using it to install. Like you have the 5400 RPM of hard drive HDD, or you have the 7200 RPM or 10400, 800 or 500 RPM of hard drive. So the installation will vary in that RPM of drives. But if you are using any sort of SATA SSD, any sort of NVMe SSD, that will be way faster than that all traditional hard drives. The SSDs and the NVMe's are way too faster, and they are like a cherry on cake or the pastry on Kali because it added a speed, a performance into the penetration testings. Let this installation complete and let me mute the mic so you may not hear the background noises. Now it's time for the grub bootloader to install. Click on yes and continue with that. Click on your hard disk and continue. It will finish off your installation now at this point and remove the installation media. In our case, in our virtual machine, it's our raster image. And don't worry, you don't have to do any sort of manual works. Your virtual machine is way too smart than you. It will remove that. And this is the message which I was talking about, and it will restart your whole virtual machine. Hit enter. And you have to write the username and the password for the machine which you have set up it while the installation. And my name is offensive, the user and the password which I have set, which surely I'm not gonna say you. Go in the VM and install the VMware tools so that the screen will get bigger. At this point, the installation has been finished and we have to install the VM tools. So you have to drag and drop this file to desktop, and after that, opening this file, you have to drag and drop the folder. Once it is drag and drop, you have to open that folder, right click, open terminal here and go for sudo bin bash and go for the root, because this command will work only as a root and you have to use sudo bin bash. Don't go for su root. You will be unable to write the password of the root because you have not set up the root password. This was the twist. You can't go for root directly because you have not set up the root password. So I will show you how to set the root password, else you have to every time go for sudo bin bash. You will be unable to go for the root, and if you directly wanna log into root, you will be unable to log in with root. I will show you how to set up the root password later in this video, in the stream. So let's now install the Kali, the Kali Linux VMware tools. You have to install this file, so copy and install as I install. Hit enter, enter. Don't change anything. If you are really into this, then only change. Making it default will not create any sort of problems in future, but making it custom may make some problem. And here you go, the screen has been captured all its resolutions, how much it needed, and clear it now here. Exit. Now it is exit with the root and got its offensive. So now you have to write the password for root. Now let me write the password, which is, I'm gonna give the new password, and yes, exit, close. Now I can go for root. Now I'm in the root, and let's focus on the network. There is no network adapter. Add them. I will use the bridge connection. Okay. And it's there. You will see the ad network is been connected. Web browser. And here we are. The internet is working fine. So this was it, how to install the Kali Linux in VirtualBox in VMware Workstation. Sorry for that. And installing the VM tools. If you are using the VirtualBox for the installation and you have completed the installation with the VirtualBox and now your screen is been small, you are unable to install the VirtualBox guest, then in that scenario and you have used the internet, or you have not used the internet but now you have connected with the internet, so you can use this method only if you are connected with the internet. Go on for Kali Linux guest VirtualBox X11 and here you will find the command for the installation of VirtualBox guest X11 and this will help you out. If that so it will not like make your screen on the spot get the full resolution as how I showed in VMware Workstation, but in case of VirtualBox you have to reboot it once. That's why here is the reboot command. Closing it, and that's for it, guys. I am Offensive from Offensive Kernel, and see you in the next one. Till that time,